Hello YouTubers and welcome back to Go Figure Customs YouTube channel. If you've been following the channel or my Facebook page, you'll see that it's been kind of dry on the content recently. I've been kind of in a creative slump the last few weeks, kind of combined with a lot of work and of course the holidays. However, my wife pointed out to me that probably entitled to that as I made 81 customs this year, if I'm counting correctly. But also, if you follow my work for any length of time, you'll recall that I always do like a year-end video showcasing all the customs that I've done for the year. In fact, I think I did 5 or 6 videos last year because I made so many customs. I did like 50 customs last year, which I far surpassed this year. I don't intend to make 5 videos, but I do intend to make one video showcasing all of the customs that I've done for the year. But my buddy Articulated Chad, who we General Geekery recently guest appeared on their Neon at Night 1990s G.I. Joe podcast, had a great idea. He put out a year-end video of his top 10 G.I. Joe acquisitions for the year. So I thought, you know, that's a great idea. And then I had another idea. So I'm going to do 2 videos, probably 3, with the one with all of the customs for the year. And then a video with my top 10, what I thought my top 10 customs were for the year. And then a video of my top 10 acquisitions for the year. Chad's was strictly G.I. Joe. He is a very G.I. Joe heavy collector. I'm thinking I might expand mine a bit to more of the full 1/18th scale, maybe some 6-inch stuff as well. Because there's a lot of cool stuff that came out this year. So let's get started with the top 10 customs for the year. I'm going to go over each of the customs. I'll show pictures of them carded, and kind of go over some tips and tricks perhaps on how I made them and how you can make your own. So let's get started. So the number 10 pick is actually 3 figures, but don't worry, I'm not counting it as 3 figures. It'll only count as 1. And that is my first carded 3-pack based on the 2005 Imperial Procession 6-pack. That was I think that was a DTC release, although they were still O-ring. But it's more in the line of more of the style of the 1995 carded 3-packs, because I wasn't going to make six figures for this particular set, and that. In that set, we have Cobra Commander. I used one of the Retaliation, G.I. Joe Retaliation, maybe version 22 or 23. I don't remember right off the top of my head. There's 2 that are the same body, same buck, but are painted differently. I had one extra laying around, and then used a different head, and then a cape that I had laying around. And then based off the 1980s ad in the comic books for the G.I. Joe video game, I made him a globe with a snake encircling it. The snake is just one of the ones that came with Serpentor that I had laying around because I bought a bunch of those when they came out. But the globe is just a piece of sculpting material that I put in a ball and let harden and then wrap the snake around it. Also in that set is the Baroness, which was actually the first figure that I created for this set. Used, let's see, that was a retro line, the 4-inch retro line figure. I think it's just straight repaint if I remember right. And man, those glasses were tough to paint. And then third in the set is the Imperial Guard, the Cobra Imperial Guard, based off the figure from that set, which is a bash up of a Range Viper, and I forget what the lower half of that figure is, but I working on my G.I. Joe Cobra collection this year, I got one of those Imperial Troopers, and I just absolutely love it because I love Range Vipers, and it's mostly Range Viper. So I picked up a couple of them. I think I have like 4 of them now. I don't have any of the flags for them, but it's roughly based on that. The head was a custom sculpt that was gifted to me by one of my followers with a 25th anniversary Viper helmet. And the body itself is straight 25th anniversary Battle Cobra Commander. As you can see, the card is double-sided, and I am extremely happy with how this came out. The layout's not perfect, but it's really kind of hard to do the layout in Photoshop without knowing what size bubbles, what size blisters you're going to use to finish this off. So sometimes the blisters overlap, like the name bubbles where the name is. And I think if I was a little bit, had a little bit more time to put into this, I would probably print out a test copy first and then see if I needed to make changes, but I am not that fancy. So that's number 10. Number 9 is also one of an ongoing set that I have not completed because large sets usually take me a couple years to do. You can actually see my first large scale sketch in the background right there. That's my 15 figure custom boxed seal set. I did all the graphic art on that. I used a window box from like a Chap May plane. It took me a couple years to do all that, to get the figures built. My buddy JD helped me do the names and write the file cards for him. And during this year, again, collecting the Cobra Specialty Vipers, I picked up this Flaming Moth figures, which I passed on the first time, which is probably one of my biggest regrets because I love those figures. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to make my own Flaming Moth boxed set. And not wanting to just do the original figures that were in the set, which I am doing, I wanted to expand it a bit and go a little bit more into the mythos, which is the fact that a G.I. Joe satellite crashed, broke up in orbit, crashed in various parts of the world, and G.I. Joe and Cobra are racing to get those parts. So I wanted to go a little more in depth in the storyline, and which I'm going to do in the file cards, and with expanded figures for the set. I've picked the figures for the set, and I have most of the customs done. I'm stuck on a couple, just because I've done a custom of one particular figure already, and I don't want to redo that specific one, that specific design. I want to come up with a new design for it, but I'm kind of stuck on that. But this particular figure is probably one of my favorite figures that I've done so far for the set, and that is the Jungle Mission Night Viper. You can see here that it's pretty much just, did I use Marauder parts on that, or did I use G.I. Joe parts on that? Definitely G.I. Joe legs, and because those are Ninja or Kamakura lower legs, and those upper legs are from, gosh, I don't remember. I think that's something from the Rise of Cobra line. And then the upper torso is the Shock Trooper buck, and then of course a custom vest, body, custom plate carrier using Marauder parts and BBI stuff, and then the helmet is of course is removable, and then of course I've got a picture of him with next to the original Flaming Moth Night Viper. This one was really hard to pick because I did a lot of customs for this set this year, and I really like how a lot of them turned out. My Flak Viper turned out great. My Alley Viper is pretty much the first Alley Viper custom I've made that I've been happy with. But being a Night Viper guy, I had to go with the Night Viper for number 9. Number 8 is the female Crimson Guard. So I made a custom for JD on the General Geekery. We were going to try and do an annual challenge where we picked a list of figures, and the challenged had to pick 2 figures from that list and do them in their own style. The figure that I did for him was Cadet Deming Crimson Guard Cadet Deming from the G.I. Joe cartoon, and that came out really well. I was really happy with that. I hated to let that one go, but I'm also glad that my buddy has it. But I wanted to go a bit further with that. I wanted my own female Crimson Guard. So going with pretty much straight Marauder parts. She does have Crimson Guard lower legs that I just cut the bottom off of the legs of the figure and dremeled out kind of holes in the tops of the boots, and then kind of bloused the trousers into the boots. And then I did a lot of sculpting on that. All the piping is sculpted, the medals are sculpted, the like insignia is sculpted, the epaulets are sculpted, the gloves are sculpted. I did a lot of sculpted. The pinstriping on the sides is sculpted. I put a lot of time and effort into this, and I hate sculpting. I hate sculpting with a passion. And my buddy JD was laughing at me the whole time because he's like, "Are you really sculpting the pinstriping?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." So number 8, female Crimson Guard. I used just the straight Crimson Guard, the classic Crimson Art card art for the card itself. As I've mentioned, but I think it gets overlooked. When I do G.I. Joe customs, what I like to do, if it exists, I like to use the vintage art for the card as an homage to my custom, or what my custom is an homage to. So I get a lot of comments and from people saying that the figure looks nothing like the card art. Yeah, that's intentional. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and that's the point. You know, like my female Rock Viper didn't have a mustache like the regular Rock Viper did. But this is that's how I pay homage to the figure that this was based off of. All right, so that was number 8. Number 7, however, is Dr. Mindbender, which is kind of an odd one for me. I wasn't the biggest Dr. Mindbender fan growing up as a kid. I always did like him in the comic books. I didn't dig the whole, like, he was a pawn for Cobra Law in the cartoon. But this year I went to the local Colorado Springs Comic-Con, and Brian Cummings, who was the voice actor for the G.I. Joe cartoon, was there. And he was a freaking awesome dude to talk to. And turns out as a local, so I'm hoping to see him at the next Comic-Con this coming year. And I told him that if he showed up this year, I would have one of my own customs for him to autograph. He autographed one of his pictures that's the card art for the original card. So I'm hoping to get this autographed by Brian Cummings this year. And my favorite version of Mindbender is not the traditional bare-chested figure from the Real American Hero line. It's the is that Joe versus Cobra line with the lab coat version. Although it's a short lab coat, that was kind of my only hang-up. So I went with a kind of lab coat version and mixed it with version 2 where he has the like cybernetic implant. And this is what I came up with. I've got a picture of him there with the original lab coat version and the 25th anniversary Dr. Mindbender, which is a horrid figure. I'm sorry, it's just horrible because I don't have the vintage one in my collection, the Real American Hero one in my collection to put up against it. But yeah, hoping to get this autographed by Brian Cummings this year. Hoping to maybe get him on General Geekery at some point in time. Since he's local, I'm going to talk to him and ask him if he'll be on the show next year. Which leads directly into number 6, which is, again, Dr. Mindbender. Dr. Mindbender made the list twice, which, like I said, is a very odd choice for me because I'm not the biggest Dr. Mindbender fan. After finishing that lab coat version of Dr. Mindbender, I thought, man, you know what? I would really like to do the 1995 canceled version of Dr. Mindbender. And some people are going to go, what? canceled version of Dr. Mindbender. There was supposed to be a Star Brigade figure coming out in the 1995 line that got canceled, and it was kind of a space battle armor, and it looked freaking awesome. I've seen the prototype. You know, I want to do my own space armor Dr. Mindbender, my own Star Brigade Dr. Mindbender figure. So I took, this is pretty much straight Joy Toy figure with a custom cast, and I believe that cast is from Raging Spoon. I'm going to have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's who I got that cast for, was Raging Spoon. And of course the card art, boy, man, that took me a long time to do. I spent probably about a day in Photoshop working on this card. I am still working on the back card, back part of the card. It's still very much a work in process, but I really like how this came out. I airbrushed several different types of purple on this and then hand painted the silver on. It was a chore, but I love how it came out, and it looks fantastic on the card as well. Probably going to take this one, if Brian Cummings is coming this year, and have him see if he'll autograph both of them for me and get a picture of him with my customs, which I think would be top notch. So that was number 6. All right, so cracking the top 5 is a non-Joe custom, and that is the Nuka-Cola T51 Power Armor and the custom card to go with it. When the 4-inch Power Armor figures came out, I do like me some armored figures, as being one of the biggest Iron Man fans that there is. So I picked up the first 4 of those that came out. Unfortunately missed the rest of them because I didn't know there was a second wave, and I missed the Nuka-Cola Power Armor, which I really would have liked to pick up, but since I missed it, I made my own. So this is a straight T51 Power Armor with the custom cast head. I don't remember. Oh, the head is just a cast of Jane Urso from the Vintage Collection line. I thought about doing a lot of work and adding articulation to this, which was my original plan, but a lot of what I like to do in customizing is just paint. Painting is one of my favorite things to do. It's my favorite part of customizing. So, and since all my customs end up on a card, sometimes I don't always go in depth as much as I would like to on my customs, and I didn't add articulation to this one like I want. So it just got painted instead of articulation added. It does have an interchangeable head. I did want to do a removable helmet, but the helmet was too small and would not have lent itself to being removable. So interchangeable head is the quick and easy solution to that. I also did the decals myself. I did those in Photoshop and printed those out here at home. They are just plain water slide decals. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how this custom turned out. Moving right along to number 4. And I am wearing the shirt that inspired number 4. I saw this shirt in my feed and I'm like, I need that shirt. I need that shirt now. So I got on, followed the link, bought the shirt. It came and I'm like, I love this shirt. I'm like, you know what? I need a figure of this. So this is my Loki custom based off the shirt art that I got, and which I did use for the card. And man, the parts for this are, it's all boss fight except for the helmet. The skull, I think, yeah, the skull is boss fight. Got one of the Thor Dark World Lokis to cut the head off, dremeled the head out to use the helmet. And what else is in there? Yeah, it's all, the rest of it's just straight boss fight parts, except the cape. I don't remember where the cape is from. Just something I had laying around. And went to town with the airbrush. I used several different kinds of paint on this, and the green on the armor came out amazing. I got a lot of comments on that on how well the armor came out, and a lot of requests on how to do that specific technique, which was a base coat, and then I have like a metallic additive, so I mixed that in with some like contrast, some thinned out contrast from Citadel paints, and then went over it again with like a wash using all airbrush, and it came out so smooth. I'm super happy with this custom. This really was a contender for the #1 spot, but something else beat it to the #1 spot. And for #3, I have a hard time even calling this a custom, because I think all I did was bash some legs onto it, put a head on it, and paint it, and that's about it. There is very little to this custom. It's so hard to call it a custom. It's really hard to call this a custom. However, man, I really like how this one came out, and that is Roy Batty from Blade Runner. So I get 1/18 scale heads from a couple different places. Spartan 118 is a big supplier of mine, and Craniac Customs is another place. I don't remember which place I specifically got this head from. I think both of them have one, but I'm not positive. Might be Craniac, I don't remember. But this is probably one of the best paint jobs I've done on a face, and I really like how it came out. Huge fan of Blade Runner. I remember seeing it in the theater when I was a kid. Went with my dad. It's probably like maybe the second R-rated movie I ever saw. I remember going to Blade Runner with my dad, and just like really loving the movie. And of course, it's based on the Philip K. Dick book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which I do have a copy upstairs in my library and have read it. But again, for a simple custom, sometimes simple is all it takes. This was just straight boss fight parts, with a little bit of sculpting to patch up where some of the like armor pegs into the legs, and then a custom head, and that's it. It's just paint and a cool card, and I do like how it came out carded. This is one that I would have loved to have autographed too. Moving right along to the #2 spot is my female Astro Viper. So I've been wanting to do a custom Astro Viper for a number of years. I had built the backpack a couple of years ago and then just set it aside. I had bashed together what I wanted to do for my Astro Viper figure, but the proportions weren't quite right. The build didn't come together like I wanted it to. It just turned into a steaming, hot, flaming dumpster fire of a custom. So I got mad and I set it aside. The last couple of years, of course, if you've been following my work, you know that I've been doing a lot of female specialty Viper customs, and I thought it was time to go back and readdress the Astro Viper problem. I decided, instead of finishing my male Astro Viper, that I would do a female Astro Viper. And I went with pretty much just a straight Joy Toy figure on this, and it worked really well. I got a lot of comments on this, a lot of likes, a lot of shares on this, and man, I love how the paintwork came out on this. It's custom head, but and it's interchangeable, obviously helmet to head, but it's just the straight Joy Toy female figure with the exo armor, with a custom backpack that I'd done a couple years ago. She does have rare earth magnets built into the figure and the backpack, so the backpack will attach to the figure. But of course, I card all my stuff, so some of the things that I do for my customs don't really, I won't say make sense, but you know, they don't make sense, because why does the backpack really need to attach to the figure if it's going to be on a card? But I do like the functionality, to know that the functionality is there in my customs. And of course, here's a picture of it with up against the original, the vintage figure, which brings me to my #1 custom of the year. This is a number one for a couple of reasons, and that is my Jax Teller with from the Sons of Anarchy. Again, a custom head from, gosh, Craniac or Spartan 118. I think this one's Spartan. I'm not 100% sure. You guys can correct me in the comments below if I am wrong. But this is all pretty much straight Marauder Task Force parts. With a vest that I had, where'd the vest come off of? I don't remember what the vest came off of. Somebody asked, I remembered, I posted it, so go look on Facebook, because that's where I'll tell you the vest is. And I was really happy, again, with the face paint, the face work on this. I'm not really good at doing eyes. I have a benign tremor in my hand, and my vision's not and I'm blind in one eye, pretty much. So I don't have a lot of depth perception. So doing eyes is very difficult for me. I did all of the water slide decals, again, myself. I did them all in Photoshop, printed them out myself. And I really like how this came out. It looks great on the card. This is my first window-backed card because my wife was looking at the figure before I carded it, and she said the vest, the water slide decals on the back of the vest came out so fantastic that I had to figure out a way to show them off while they were on the card. And she was right. So what I ended up doing, and I did a video on this, it's on the channel, I ended up cutting out a hole in the three layers of the card and using a piece of plastic, clear plastic from a window box, and making it so you can see the back of the figure on the carded figure. So not only did the figure turn out awesome, this card came out fantastic. Probably one of the best cards I've ever done. I am still working on replicating this for the Clay Morrow card. I do have that custom done. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. I had a lot of problems with the water slide on that Clay Morrow card, or on the Clay Morrow custom. And boy, would I like to get that one autographed. So Ron Perlman, I've missed him once at one of the Comic-Cons. He was at one of the Comic-Cons that I didn't have an opportunity to go to. And I'm really hoping that he comes back so I can get this one autographed by him. Which is another one of the reasons that this custom made the #1 spot, is because I got this autographed by Charlie Hunnam at the local Denver Comic-Con this year. I wish I'd spent a little extra money and had my picture taken with him and the figure, because when I came up to give this to him to autograph, I said it's not very often that I get to meet the actors or the people that inspire my work. And he looked at it and looked at me. He says, "You made this?" I said, "Yes, this is a custom figure. I did the graphic art. I did the card. I did all the water slide decals. I put it all together. I did all the painting myself. This is 100% fan-made fan art." And he just that is amazing. And he was showing it off to the people, his handler. He was like, "Look at this. He made this. This is awesome. This is awesome." I mean, he was really cool about this and just thought it was fantastic and put this freaking awesome inscription on the card. Amazing work, brother. Keep making art. Much love, Charlie Hunnam, aka Jax. He also put the Sons of Anarchy, the Anarchy logo on there, and then addressed it to me. So you can see why that particular custom made my #1 spot. It's one of my best customs, one of my best cards, and it got autographed by Charlie Hunnam. It's hard to beat that. Although with 81 customs, if I'm counting right, 81 customs that I made this year, this was a hard list to put together. So I hope you liked the video. Thanks again to Articulated Chad for the idea. And stay tuned, because there's always going to be more content coming up on General Geekery, as well as the Go Figure channel, and always going to be more customs on the Go Figure Facebook page. So, as always, please do that fun social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And you know what? Let's do one honorable mention, because Chad did that, and I think it's a good idea. I've always said that I would not ever do 6-inch customs, but here we are with the G.I. Joe classified line out in 6-inch scale. This is my honorable mention for 2022. It is my version 2 Alley Viper. Of course, I am a huge Alley Viper fan. I have every version of the Alley Viper ever made. And using some gridiron parts, specifically the mask, and a lot of time and effort, and thankfully an airbrush to make the yellow go a lot smoother, I did this version 2 Alley Viper. Along with a custom card and a blister that I got off of Amazon, I was even able to card it. I did not do a back of the card for this particular custom, just because I didn't plan on making other 6-inch customs, although I probably will at some point, because I've threatened my best friend JD with a listen and fun tripwire custom when tripwire finally comes out, because he hates tripwire. Alrighty, okay, now that is it. So please do all that fun social media stuff, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Thanks, and stay tuned for more videos.